Hi everyone, and welcome back to this very special edition of Focal Plane Podcast. It's being filmed here at St Wilfrid's Hospice in Eastbourne. I've already had some great conversations with people who lead on all the services here, that lead on some of the clinical care, and also provide that much needed support for community fundraising. But just as important as that are people who are looking towards our businesses, because they're just as much towards our communities in terms of support, but also a piece of the fabric. And it's great to have our community fundraiser, Debbie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So I'd love to hear a bit more about how you get involved and what your role is.
Yeah, so my role here at St Wilfrid's is I am a corporate fundraiser. So I look after all of our businesses with my colleague Dave, who is also a corporate fundraiser as well. So we work with our businesses, things like Charity of the Year.
Brilliant.
Sponsorship of our events, just a range of how their businesses want to support the hospice.
And how long have you been in this role?
So I've been here at St Wilfrid's for 2.5 years now.
Okay, excellent. And so what's that been like? I mean, you're talking about getting businesses involved, understanding how they might be able to support the hospice. And it's not just about funds, right?
No, there's lots of ways that businesses can support. So things like gifts in kind. A lot of businesses will support us with gifts in kind, taking part in our events. We do a networking breakfast here at the hospice bi-monthly, and a lot of our businesses locally come to that as well.
Excellent. And is that open to any business?
Yeah, that's open to anyone. It's every other month. And that's a really great way. We just ask for a £5 donation. And a lot of businesses, we get around 40 to 45 businesses come along every networking breakfast. So
and I presume you get a lot of repeat offenders, shall we say?
We do. We get a lot of people that come regularly, but we also get some people that just come ad hoc, which is really nice. We're seeing the growth with our business breakfast as well. So we're seeing a lot of businesses that are coming from further afield. So kind of the TN21s and TN22, so up Heathfield and Uckfield area are coming over as well, which is lovely.
Excellent. And I want to just take a slight sidestep. So I kind of want to understand where you come from. Where have you come from in your journey, career journey wise, personal journey wise, to get to this role that you've been doing the last 2.5 years? So
I've worked in charity now. Gosh, that's going to take me back. So this is going into my 11th year now within the charity sector.
Okay.
So previously I've worked in hospice care for quite a long time.
Sure.
So I worked in another hospice, a children's hospice, then worked for another local children's charity, and then came here to St Wilfrid's. But previous to that, I worked for over 10 years in retail.
Okay.
So
what drew you then to the initial shift towards hospice and charity? What was that?
So it was a big change in my personal circumstances. So I'd had a bereavement myself. So it kind of changed my mindset a little bit. And charity work is something that I'd always enjoyed doing in the role that I was doing in retail. So I did a lot of charity days and fundraising within retail. So it kind of was like a natural progression. It was something that I really enjoyed doing. So it kind of, when it came up and there was a job opportunity came up, it all worked kind of well at the same time.
No, for sure. And look, I don't want to make an assumption about this, but also tell me if you don't necessarily feel comfortable saying it, but what was that mindset shift? And you mentioned about a bereavement that you had.
So I'd lost my mum. So I lost my mum, and unfortunately I got made redundant 48 hours after mum's funeral. So it was very close to it. But it was a sad time. Regarding obviously my job as well, but it kind of changed my mindset completely. You know, it made me realise that life was too short, and I was in a job that maybe I wasn't quite as happy as I'd kind of thought I was. It just gave me that perspective to change my career and do something that I really love doing.
And never look back.
Never look back. No. No.
And what have you? I mean, that must have been a hell of a time, and you clearly, under what must have been a lot of emotional duress, took the bull by the horn, so to speak, and said, look, I'm going to take command of this situation and say, look, I've understood something new about life and some new perspective around it. So what have you learned then since you made that jump? What have been some of the big learnings for you in that?
Around my career? I suppose just doing what I feel's right and doing what makes me happy. I've gone from doing very corporate world of, very much long hours, very long days, very unsociable hours, to not really enjoying my life. And one of the things that obviously for me, career move, was to kind of have my life back again. And, working within charity, we do some really kind of big events and things like that. But I also am able to have that work-life balance, which is what I didn't have before.
And what do you? Sorry if this seems like a really silly question, but every time I ask these, I'm somewhat surprised by the answer I get.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you? Like having that time, that work-life balance, what has that enabled you to do?
Or just to be able to have downtime, you know, have time with my family, see my friends, you know, do the things that make me happy, where previously I didn't get that. So that was really hard. And I think, you know, it did affect me physically and mentally as well, to not have that downtime. And obviously, you know, especially here at St Wilfrid, they're great at being able to support that work-life balance, which is great.
Yeah. And of course, you know, the work that you do here is moving towards, you know, helping something that's got a great vision to it.
It's so rewarding.
Yeah, and tell us about that. So what do you find the most rewarding, aside from the, you know, the obvious, I try and get something done and it gets done, and what else aside from that do you find, you know, keeps you going with it?
I think, you know, the amount of people that we meet, you know, when it could be here at the hospice, you know, chatting to people, to out, you know, in our community as well. When you're talking to people, so many people are, you know, have been affected by, you know, maybe a loss, or, you know, they've got family members have been ill. And most people will say, you know, we've been supported by St Wilfrid's, or we know someone that's been supported by St Wilfrid's, and they're so kind with their words. And I think for me, that gives me, you know, real motivation to continue. You know, the kind words are just phenomenal.
Yeah, brilliant. And that's been a theme of the conversations I've been having today, where you know, that appreciation is so important in something that's otherwise, on the face of it, quite a thankless job. And anything in healthcare can be, right? So you build this innate desire to kind of keep moving and get out of bed in the morning, but unless that's recognized from at least time to time, then you start to find yourself in strange places, right? But it's in a place like this where, you know, the whole culture revolves around celebrating the great things from you know, the top down to every level, but also everyone who comes here. You know, from the be it patients, relatives, people who's willing to volunteer, and out in the community that support the events that, you know, you get involved with, and, you know, the community fundraisers get involved with. That's massive. Like, that's a huge, like, just self-fulfilling prophecy of just building to something better.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like I said, everybody, you know, you just only have to walk downstairs here, and, you know, so many people are so kind, and you know, and also you get to know people as well, which is lovely. You know, you see the people that come in regularly, who have maybe had a bereavement a long time ago, but will still come in, and it's really nice because they just want to say hi, and they're always so grateful. So
Are there any kind of are there any stories that stick out, anonymously, of course, any stories that stick out for you that really highlight to you the importance of why the hospice is there, or even why your role as the, you know, corporate fundraiser is there? Is there any one example, or?
I suppose, there is. You know, a story that kind of really sticks in my mind is somebody who I actually know, who was cared for here at the hospice, was, you know, really quite poorly, but actually has managed to turn, you know, their health back round and are completely discharged from the hospice. So I think, you know, we often talk about obviously bereavement and things like that, but, you know, sometimes there is that other side, which is that really positive of being able to recover from something.
And that's huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
You don't. It's not a thing that you would assume as being part and parcel of what a hospice could be.
No, definitely.
Yeah. No, that's great. And the last 2.5 years then. So tell us a bit about that journey. So what have you been involved with? What sort of events have you been putting on? Where have you seen that go?
The last 2.5 years have flown by. It seems weird when I think back, because I feel like I only started here, you know, 6 months ago, because it's just flown by. And I think that's the thing, as fundraisers, we're so busy. You know, we're always got another event that we're planning. I think that's where that time goes so quickly. But we've had some great events. So we have our golf day. We have, so as a corporate team, we organise the golf day. We have our Charity Champion Awards. We have our I'm a CEO day. We have, and our Christmas tree recycling. Obviously, we've just recently finished that.
So tell me about that, because I saw a lot of just following on LinkedIn and other kind of social media channels. There's loads of noise about that, and seeing quite a lot of significant achievements from that drive, really. So I'm
incredibly proud of our Christmas tree recycling. It's been a project that I launched here at St Wilfrid's. I have actually launched it previously in a previous charity.
Sure.
So I did have a bit of experience with it. But it's one of those events where you just don't know where it's going to go. You know, we launched it in 24-25, and we just didn't know how many, you know, what the take up would be of that event. And, you know, it's kind of a little bit of a nervous moment because, you know, you launch it in November. Most people don't book until kind of end of December, January.
Yeah, of course.
Because we all do it last minute. We all think about it last minute.
100% would be one of those people. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, when we're following the bookings and you're seeing it, you know, Boxing Day onwards, you suddenly see this big influx of bookings that kind of come on from there. But yeah, it's been great. It's such a community event as well. You know, we've really seen the community pulling together for that. And it's really nice to see how many people are new supporters of the hospice that over the last 2 years of doing the event weren't necessarily supporting the hospice. So we're seeing kind of new people to St Wilfrid's, which is really great.
And what do you think's been behind that? I mean, maybe it's not just one thing, and it probably isn't. But what in your mind, from how you see things, what's been that shift to help people come on board, new supporters that wouldn't have been there before?
Yeah, I think, you know, we know the public, it is a challenging time for people financially. And I think what people are really grateful for is the fact that they're getting a service as well. So, you know, they're able to support the hospice, but they're also getting a service back, i.e. the Christmas tree recycling. And I think as well, where we've seen a bit of a shift and an increase this year is, unfortunately, a lot of the recycling centres have obviously gone to booking system.
Of course, yeah.
So I think it's that flexibility then. They haven't got to worry about that. They can literally pop it outside their door and it gets taken away by St Wilfrid's and supporting us at the same time. So, yeah, I think that's why.
Brilliant. And perhaps you've already said that, you know, this may have been your highlight, but what has been the highlight for you in your journey in St Wilfrid so far? What kind of one thing has been a real like game changer for you, or
probably Christmas tree recycling? Yeah, I think you know, I'm so proud of it, and you know, to see us go from last year from just over £9,000 raised to this year over 14,000. To see that increase in a year is phenomenal. So I think that's probably my proudest moment.
And that's been that's been a bit of a theme today. So you know, the other people that I've been speaking to, there's a lot of challenges going on at the moment. Of course there is, and never should we take anything away from that. But at the same time, like, you guys are breaking records all over the place.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people attending your events, people wanting to give their time, their financial support, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to pin down from everyone today exactly why that is, or what is it that what's the magic that makes people galvanize like that?
Yeah.
I think I'm getting the answers. I think I know what it is.
Okay.
But it's interesting to see it from your, or hear it from your perspective. I mean, what do you think it is?
My personal opinion, obviously, I'm not definitely if that is why, but I think a lot of that has come up the back end of COVID. Obviously, seems such a long time ago, but I think mindset shifted a little bit from COVID, where they've been kind of, in lockdown for so long. They wanted to go out, they wanted to enjoy time with their friends, time with their family. And obviously a lot of what we do is events. So they're able to do that. They're able to support the hospice, but also have that time with their friends and family at the same time. Yeah. I kind of feel that, they're able to give that donation, but also get something from it as well. So have a fun day, have an experience, make those memories with their friends and family. That's kind of where I would think it would come from. But
no, and it's, I think you've got a really good point there, because one of the things that I've observed, certainly from a corporate fundraising point of view, when I look at LinkedIn, when I look at businesses that I'm aware of or I've spoken with that are in the local area that do support St Wilfrid's, and you see their names associated with some of the great stuff that's going on, it makes you feel differently about them. It makes you feel like, actually, this is a business that has a value that I can resonate with. Yeah,
and I think, we're seeing that a lot with our businesses. They're so willing to obviously support financially, but also with their time as well. And like you said, I think, that's putting a little bit more of a buzz on social media. And I think people are naturally drawn to that. You're seeing that out it's great advertising as well for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no two ways about that, right?
And we've seen it with the Christmas tree recycling. You know, we were very fortunate to have a lot of corporate support from that.
Yes.
You know, so we had a lot of our local businesses that worked with us anyway. Very kindly then came out and volunteered their time to come out in the vans. And I think that's where, you know, like you said, that buzz then on social media. They're sharing it, we're sharing it, we're tagging them. You know, there's that big buzz then on social.
No, 100%. So I mean, that's a very clear benefit for a business to be involved, of course. But are you seeing any other angles that that businesses may not necessarily be aware of, that either in ways they could help, or maybe benefits that come from that?
Yeah, I think we've seen a little bit of a shift in how businesses are donating. You know, there's a lot more businesses are struggling. We know that. You know, we've gone through some really challenging time for businesses generally with the increase in NI and things like that. You know, so businesses have gone through a challenge themselves. But for them, I think they're seeing that they can support in very different ways, and not just your traditional, you know, write a check and off you go sort of thing, but sponsoring the events. You know, that's a great marketing tool for them.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that a lot more. You know, businesses are keen to kind of find out what we can give them back. So, you know, things like the social media, you know, on the website, blogs, various different things. So that's becoming a lot more of a popular way of giving is our sponsorship. But also things like gifts in kind or volunteering days, you know, with our businesses. And it might not necessarily be what a business would think as a gift in kind. You know, when you think of a gift in kind, you might think, oh, you know, if it's a car business, for instance, you know, they want a car. It doesn't have to be that. You know, we had it with a funeral director. You know, they were looking at a gift in kind, and obviously for them, they don't really have anything they could give us. But actually, one of the funeral directors had a box at the Amex.
Okay, sure.
So he's a member of Brighton Hove, and he said, well, I can give you that as an auction prize for an event. And actually, that's a great way of, you know, that's a great way of us fundraising and to help raise money for the hospice. And it's not necessarily the thing that you would naturally think of. So we're seeing a lot more of a shift of kind of creative donating, which is great.
Yeah, which is great, like you say, because you made a great point around how, you know, some businesses, big or small, will be having lots of challenges themselves. So, but still the will to want to help is there.
Yes.
And it may not necessarily be that, oh, do you know what? In past times, I would have been able to look at my balance sheet and say, you know, this financial support would work. But actually, there are way more creative ways of doing that that don't necessarily have to take away from, you know, those or add to their own challenges.
Definitely, yeah.
And do you have any, just from a corporate sponsorship point of view, does St Wilfrid's have like a bit of a tiered system in ways that businesses who may want to contribute a small amount can do so regularly?
Yeah.
Or do you have any mechanisms for that?
Yeah, so we have our partner scheme. Yeah. So you can become a St Wilfrid's partner. Your business can. With that, again, is that tiered scheme. So we have bronze, silver, gold and platinum partners.
Sure.
So our bronze partner is £500, right up to our platinum partner, which is £5,000. And that's an annual amount.
Sure.
But again, you can do that monthly. So when you break that down, that becomes a lot more of a manageable amount for a business. You know, when you think of £5,000, that suddenly feels a really big donation. But actually, when you break that down monthly, that's quite manageable. But it's also what they will be able to have in return. So that's a big thing for a lot of the businesses. You know, it's things like, you know, being a speaker at one of our business breakfasts. You know, all of those will get their business will be listed and a link to their business on our website. That's a great marketing tool for a lot of businesses. I think it's if you're gold and above, you can you get a blog. Which goes onto our website.
Oh, okay.
And then if you're a platinum partner, you will have inclusion into our Reaching Out newsletter, which obviously you think with that's going out to potentially over 30,000 people.
Wow, okay.
That's a massive marketing tool for people. Yeah.
That's a lot. So, and you know, I've had the pleasure of coming to some of your business breakfasts before, and you get to learn businesses in a different way.
Yes, definitely.
You know, I've heard various people talk around what they do, but a lot of it is the vibe in the room is about why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's something you don't get on a sales pitch.
No.
Or I mean, you do, and the great ones will have it, but in the sense of, because we're in this environment and we're trying to celebrate what's going on, you have that aura of wanting to celebrate what you're listening to, or the person who's presenting, celebrate what they do. And that's we can really kind of lynch on that and say, actually, I feel this in a different way. Like I was talking to you about when I see social media posts and seeing associated business with that. That in itself, like to me, when I see it, is a great selling point for that business.
Yeah.
But even other businesses who network with you here feel each other in a different way.
Definitely. And I think, we see it on social media, on LinkedIn from, after the business breakfast each time. It's not necessarily, we've been networking. We've been to St Wilfrid's.
Yeah.
We've had a networking at St Wilfrid's. It's very much that, like you said, that focuses the fact that they're here. And, for us, if we can, even just spread that awareness of what we do, just by having those businesses in here, it isn't necessarily about, raising money for the hospice. It's also about that awareness. It might be that 6 months down the line or a year down the line, they decide to do a fundraiser. They've been here at the hospice. They know what we do. It might just give them that kind of incentive to do something down that line.
Absolutely, 100%. So what have you got coming up then that's exciting for business to get looking into, or other events? What's coming up?
So we've got our I'm a CEO event at the end of March, which is proving really popular. It's in its second year. So that's a great event, obviously, for businesses to get involved. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a CEO. It can be anyone in the company. But we're seeing a real increase in people wanting to take part in that, which is great.
Brilliant.
Then we've got our golf day in September. So that's at the Royal. So I think that's into its third year now at the Royal.
The Royal Eastbourne, right?
Yes, the Royal Eastbourne, yeah. Really, really, that's such a popular golf day for us. We do sell out really quickly. So obviously if people do want to take part, it's a great evening. Obviously, you've got the day, you've got the evening. We have some entertainment. So we have a comedian in the evening. It's a really great event.
Brilliant.
And then we have our Charity Champion Awards as well.
Yes.
Which is obviously what our, it's a way of saying thank you to our businesses.
Sure.
For us, we're very grateful to our businesses, but it's a great chance for us to be able to give back, to kind of, recognise their support. We do things like long-standing, new champions, etc. So it's a great way for us to give that recognition to those businesses on for what they've done over the year. So that's another great one for us.
And what sort of feedback have you had on these events? I mean, it sounds like it's going to be generally very good, but anything specific that sticks out in your mind that's been something that you've really latched onto?
Do you mean for the awards?
For any of them?
I think they just like to be able to support, but also, like I said, to be able to have time with their staff, enjoy a bit of, the Charity Champions is a prime one. We've seen people use that as a kind of a Christmas social. So they've brought a table, had it as a bit of a Christmas social with their colleagues. So I think for them, it's about just obviously having time to enjoy, a little bit of time out, but also to be able to enjoy supporting the hospice at the same time.
Fantastic. And so we've just touched on, things that businesses who support you or prospective businesses looking to support you may have to look forward to. But what about Debbie? What is Debbie looking forward to next year, next 5 years? Where are you seeing things?
For me, I don't know. I suppose just continuing to grow the fundraising here. I'm, like I said, so grateful to work here at the hospice, and there's not many people that can say I love what I do, but I do love what I do. And I'm incredibly lucky to work here. So for me, it would just be to kind of work with our businesses, increase that, and just continue here.
Excellent. And are we going to be seeing any presence of St Wilfrid's in other events or other expos, or any business networking elsewhere apart from just what you guys facilitate? Yeah,
so we, myself and my colleague Dave, we are part of 5 chambers now. Oh. So we're part of the 5 chambers within Sussex.
Nice.
So we're in Uckfield, Heathfield, Hailsham, Eastbourne and Sussex chambers.
Getting around.
We are, so we're busy bees. So we attend them. We also do attend some other local ones. I know my colleague Dave attends Business Over Breakfast, and I do a few of the like Uckfield Small Business Network and such. So we're often out and about networking. It's something we do. Right. We do go to a lot of the local expos, so Ashdown Radio expos and various different ones. So you'll normally see us out and about.
It's good to know, because there'll be people who don't necessarily live local to the hospice, but live within Sussex or the surrounding areas, and may well be keen to have a conversation with you. So it's good to know that your presence is around there to help facilitate that. That's great.
Yeah, and networking for us is a great way of obviously meeting those local businesses and building those relationships with our existing ones as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I can, of course, vouch for some of these events that you do as being a lot of fun. Through the lens, I've seen a few interesting moments that I'm sure have just sunk themselves into the archives to never be seen again. But there we go.
Yes, we've definitely had some phenomenal moments. Things like Rainbow Run. There's some fantastic photos from Rainbow Run.
Yeah, but even the CEO event that you talk about,
yes.
That was your inaugural one last year.
Yeah.
Because that was at the Scout camp, wasn't
it? Bushywood.
Bushywood, that's it.
Yeah.
And some imaginative challenges,
yes.
which people really, really got into.
They did. I can honestly say, though, I didn't half run a mile as soon as the reptiles came out. I was gone. That's not my, not for me, no.
I mean, they were very cute and very docile, which I suspect they were trained to be. I don't know.
Yeah, I was okay with a few of them, the tortoises and various ones. When the snake came out, I was gone. No.
The bit that was, when I look back at that, the climbing stuff was great. That was people like just... Because it was all the abilities as well, yes. Right? And everyone just kind of pitching in to help each other out, but also just some hilarious moments.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, it was a great also networking opportunity.
Yes,
those were businesses that were there, and it was a great opportunity for them to have kind of like a more relaxed networking style, which I think was great for them to build connections as well. I think we forget that actually for these businesses, it doesn't just have to be a traditional way of networking. Going to a breakfast or going to an evening event. These things like these team days are obviously a great way of obviously building relationships.
And we're seeing a big rise in that as well. The big popularity definitely. In just different ways of connecting. There's a big shoot at the moment with paddle networking events that are going around, which it's a great idea. Have a bit of light, exercise competition, whatever you may call it, and then in a completely diffused setting have that connection, rather than get the business cards out, sit there stiff with your cup of coffee that's shaking in your hand kind of thing. But it's a great way of connecting people together, not just the businesses, but with you helping you get your word out there. It's wonderful. It's great to see it.
Definitely. And I think like I said, they are proving really popular on networking. So, and I think we are looking at potentially growing that networking that we do here.
Cool.
There's been a lot of requests for maybe some evening networking.
Sure. Yeah.
We do host 2 evening networking here. So we do Eastbourne Property Network. They use the space here at the Hospice, and Eastbourne Healthcare Network also use this space here at the Hospice. But there is the possibility, it's something we're looking at the moment, on whether we put a few evening networking in for the Hospice as well.
No, watch this space for that.
Definitely, absolutely. Yes.
Great. And Debbie, what if you had one message to give out to anybody watching or listening to this that you really wanted them to take away, what would that be?
I suppose for me, the message would be there's other ways to support the Hospice, not just the traditional way of donating money. It's to look at other ways that you can, as a business or an individual, support the Hospice, be it time, even down to just things like, can you share something on social media? So, it's the power of obviously every way of supporting the Hospice. It doesn't have to be just that tradition of a check.
And even that thing of just reaching one more person that wouldn't have otherwise been reached.
Yes, definitely.
Is massive.
Yeah, definitely.
And as I say, for a lot of people, that isn't a time or money intensive thing. That can just be, like you say, sharing something, spreading the word out.
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere will find relevance to that, will get hooked onto it. And that could lead to bigger things.
Definitely,
you know? So those small ripples can make a huge difference.
Yes, definitely. Just volunteering your time even. There's so many ways to support. And I think people just automatically will always think of the financial way to support.
Yeah.
But it could be donating, items of clothing to the retail units or such like. There's so many ways that you can support.
Brilliant. Debbie, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you
really
very much.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful to hear about the amazing things you and your team are doing.
Thank you.
And it sounds like they're going from strength to strength with more things in the pipeline.
It's going to be a busy year.
Awesome. Brilliant.
Thank
Excellent.
you.
That's what we like to hear. So guys, thanks so much for tuning into the podcast today. If there's anything that you've heard that you'd like to learn more about, please do look at the website for St Wilfrid's Hospice, and I'll put the details in the description below. Thank you.